Well, sometimes things get out of hand. This particular corner of my perennial garden has gotten wild. Look at these canes of roses. This is absolutely ridiculous. They are healthy and beautiful, but they really prevent me from even walking down towards my pool in the background here. So what I've decided to do is rethink this area in my garden. We have a border at the top of the wall here filled with magnificent tree peonies that actually got very crowded out with violets and other ground covers. And we've already removed most of the violets. I'll show you those. They're going to be very useful somewhere else on the property. But right now we have roses that are rambling 12 feet, 15 feet long. So what I'm using are very sturdy clippers, and I am lopping off all of these very long branches of roses. The roses bloomed in June. And this is a good time to prune the old roses, the old ramblers, the old climbers, the old shrub roses, because the rule is prune after bloom. Simple as that. Now, I'm not following the typical rose pruning rules about cutting to a new growth, cutting to an outside bud. This is not that kind of pruning. This is lopping it off, getting rid of way too much rose bush. And can you believe it? It all comes from one sturdy climber. Now look at how healthy these fabulous peonies are. We have both herbaceous peonies and tree peonies. Along the wall are the herbaceous. Those are the ones that will die back to the ground in the autumn and then come up again quite prolifically in the springtime. Herbaceous peonies, you just take off the spent blooms, very important. And this is the sturdy cane from which everything else is emanating. That beautiful part of the rose bush, that's what I'm going to train along the wall. So I'll prune that really carefully. This is the kind of work that once done is so rewarding because the garden looks like a different place. This is a tree peony. You can see it has a different kind of upright growth. That's really like a tree. You never prune a tree peony. You only take away damaged or dead wood. This particular one, I noticed that there was some new growth coming out from the roots. This is extremely bad. It's like a rose reverting to its rootstock. That's what's happening. And if we don't cut away this reversion, this is a herbaceous peony, it looks like. Notice that it has a green stem compared to the woody trunk of the true tree peony. So this must be cut down below ground level and removed. Now we have our tree here. This part looks a little bit dead. I'll just cut that off. We have it supported in place. We have another nice branch here. Here's another little wayward piece of rootstock emerging, so we take that away too. And now I feel much better about my tree peony. This should bloom very nicely next year. So now there's really nice space to underplant with something less invasive than the violets and the violas that I planted here, thinking they'd be a great ground cover and not an invasive army like they are. They're really taking over. Now, I don't want to dig these out too deeply because I have allium. Now, these are just leaving their bulbs. These were amazing flowers. So these will go into the compost. There's a couple more in here. But you see, the violets have completely obscured the foliage of the allium. I can't even find them. So if I dig too deeply, I might injure the bulbs, and I don't want to do that. So I'll use just a little hand spade. Now these come out very easily. These are all different kinds of violets, doubles and singles, and they're extraordinary. And they really do belong somewhere in the woodland. And I'm going to just take them like this. If you cut off the foliage, you can just transplant them anywhere where it's partial to full shade, and they will thrive and grow, and they'll give me pleasure again. We're going to be enlarging this garden. We don't really want grass growing into such shade. The magnolias have grown a lot overhead, and we want to continue our shade garden plants. So we have an area, I'm using a garden hose just to give a nice natural curve to the shape of the garden. This will be my edge. So now we'll take a flat spade and we'll take this grass out. So see how easily the grass comes up? You can shake off the earth from the roots. And this is not really good sod to replant, so we'll just, again, use that in the compost. Once you get all your grass up, then you use your fork and do a little double digging and then plant to your heart's content. That's rethinking a border. That's cleaning up a messy border. That's creating new borders where none existed before.